Accounting expense list. You can create, view, and manage all business expenses from this page. All expenses submitted by users, project managers, and sales teams will appear here. In addition, you can create new expenses. The expense list is grouped into 4 tabs. The first tab contains expenses that are awaiting approval. The second tab has 3 months old expenses. The third tab has 12 months old, and the fourth tab has over 12 months old expenses. When expenses are first created, they will default to the status of created, such as this expense here. It needs to be approved or declined accordingly. With access to the accounting app, you have the rights to approve or reject any expense in the system. Once an expense has been approved or rejected, you cannot change the status or delete it. It will be locked for editing. Such as this expense over here that has already been approved. However, you can duplicate the expense. To do so, go on the action column and click Duplicate. You will be routed to an edit page where you can change dates, set the recurring dates if necessary. When you are done, click this button to save the expense. This duplicated expense will now appear under this tab, awaiting approval. To take action on the expense, click on the action column. Your options are 1. Edit the expense, 2. Approve the expense, 3. Reject the expense, 4. Duplicate the expense, or 5. Delete the expense. To create a new expense, click on the Create button at the top. Type the title of the expense. Enter the price of this expense. Enter the quantity. Select the type of expense from the drop-down menu. Select the vendor. This is optional. You would need to enter the vendor first from the vendor page for them to appear on this drop-down menu. Upload any supporting documents such as receipts and proof of payment to support your claim. Enter the expense date. Press this button to save this new expense. When the expense is created, it is not included in the company financial records until it is approved. You will need to approve this expense to include it in the records and analytics. To approve the expense, click on Actions and select Approve. You can also do an upload of a CSV with expenses. To do the bulk upload, click here. Read these instructions carefully before you proceed. Click here to download an expense spreadsheet template to edit. The spreadsheet will look like this. From here you can add your own records of expenses. Most important things to remember when editing the template. 1. Minimum required columns. You need to provide at least the title, price, and quantity of the expense. You can leave other columns blank, but do not delete them. 2. For currency, make sure it is numbers only. For decimals, enter them like 1234.56. 3. For the paid column, enter yes or no, or it will default to unpaid expense. 4. The expense account should be exactly the title from the list of accounts within your accounting app. 5. The date format should be date, month, and year exactly, or this column will be ignored and today's date will be used instead. 7. Do not change the headings, order of columns or delete any columns from the example spreadsheet or the upload will fail. 7. Note new vendor records will be created for vendors in the expense. If a vendor already exists, make sure you use exact title. When you are done adding your data, export the spreadsheet to CSV. Now let us go back to Skhokho. Click here to attach the CSV file. Upload the file. Each invoice will be displayed under one of these tabs, depending on the invoice status. From this page, you can also filter expenses. To do so, click this button here. Select a date range for the expenses you want to see. When you are done, click this button here to filter. This is a list of expenses that fall within the dates we use to filter our table.